My name is Shareen Nawaz. I work as a fundraising officer in Manchester, and I do need assessments when I'm abroad, and then I come back and arrange events and do campaigns depending on the needs of our beneficiaries abroad. A need assessment is, like, I've been to Iraq quite recently. We sat with the people in the camps, in their tents actually. We sat with the people that actually that had certain jobs in Iraq in the camp. So somebody was looking after the needs of the children, somebody else was looking after the electrical needs, and different job roles basically. So we sat with them and just asked them, what do you need? What do the people in the camps need? Now these are people who have just fled the centre of Mosul, some of them the east side, some of them the west. We're there at the reception area, so when we do a needs assessment, we speak to the people who run the camps. They tell us then what the women need, what the children need, what are the general needs for the men, or whatever the case is. So we come back with that information. We then do events or online campaigns based on what their needs are, and then we deliver that need as soon as we've raised the funds for it. Well, I've volunteered for quite a while for Human Relief Foundation for about 2 years. I did have a full-time job. That full-time job didn't really allow me to do everything I wanted to do for the charity. The things I get from Human Relief Foundation, no other job gives you that satisfaction. Like, for example, if there's a situation where we need to go out there straight away for an emergency appeal, I wasn't able to previously get up and just go, and now I'm allowed to do that. And being able to help people, and it is your job, and you can do it as a 9 to 5. To be honest, it's a 24-hour job, but the fact that you can do it as a 9 to 5 is amazing, and no other job gives you that. So this is why I decided to do it full time. I was last out in Iraq 2 months ago. I've been twice already. We had to go in January, beginning of the year, and then we've had to go quite soon after because of the current situation. Now, the people in Mosul are stuck in a conflict. So the Iraqi forces, the war that's going on there at the moment, unfortunately, it's the people that are suffering. So you have people who are going days and days without food. You have people who are fleeing from, say, the west side of Mosul. They are walking about 7 to 8 hours with their children, injured elderly people, or even their disabled children. They're walking that amount of time, and then they reach the reception area where luckily Human Relief Foundation are there, and we provide hot meals every single day there. Unfortunately, not a lot of people make it when they do flee due to injured people unfortunately passing away on the way. You also have children who have left that journey with their parents, but the parents have passed away on the way due to their injuries as well, trying to protect their children. So the situation is really, really, really bad at the moment out there, and it's just a whole load of civilians who are just stuck in this conflict. What makes Human Relief Foundation different is the fact that we spend a lot of time out on the ground ourselves as fundraisers, not just ourselves, but our deputy CEOs, as an example. They don't just work from behind the computer. They are on the ground with us. We don't just go out once a year. We're talking going out to different places, whether it be Bangladesh, whether it be Iraq, whether it be Jordan. We go out there 4 or 5 times a year. Sometimes we're going out to different places all at once. So, for example, 3 fundraisers will go to one country and the others will go to another, just to make sure we have maximum impact. We try and take your donations and use them straight away. So if somebody makes a donation, we try not to keep that sat in a bank account somewhere. We try and literally say, okay, we've got the funds. As soon as we've got the funds, we're out on the ground straight away. So, and we do take volunteers with us, so volunteers can feel what it is like. It's not just a matter of making a donation and then sitting down. For us, we want volunteers to come with us to see the impact their donations make. And it's good for the people out there in these conflict zones to not only just receive food, water and things like that, but our presence is so, so important. I remember one lady who I was giving her and her family a food pack, and before she even took the food, she thanked us for coming. She was actually really surprised that we were there. And the fact that we do that 5-6 times a year, I think that presence is really important. So that's what I feel makes us different as a charity. While I was out in Iraq, there was one situation that really, really touched my heart. I mean, I don't cry much at all, but that situation made myself, not only myself, but the rest of the team break down, and everybody else that was in that scenario. We were speaking to a few people who had just literally fled from the west side of Mosul, which is where the conflict zone is. Now, the reception area where Human Relief Foundation are there every single day, our team, our staff are out there every single day providing hot meals. We were having a look, we were getting hot meals ready that day, and I met this very young man who was roughly about maybe 25 years old, and he was stood watching all the coaches that were arriving in that area. Now, the coaches are full of people who have just fled. So they get picked up after they've done that really long journey, and they get brought to this reception area. So we were there, and I was having a word with him. I was asking him about his story. Now, he didn't seem too interested. He was looking at all these coaches, so he was looking over my head. As he was doing that, I said to him, "What's your story? Who were you looking for?" He said, "I've been here for 4.5 months in this reception area. I refused to carry on and go over to the camps and settle there." He goes, "Because I'm waiting for my mother." I said, "How long have you waited for your mother for?" He said, 4.5 months. Every single day, each coach that comes, I sit and I just wait for my mother. So bearing in mind, the coaches, I think they come from maybe 6 o'clock in the morning up until 11 o'clock at night, coach after coach after coach. So you can imagine how long he stood there for. I moved over from him and I spoke to another lady who was speaking about how she's left her 2 daughters in the west side of Mosul because the hospitals wouldn't release her because both daughters had been shot. And she was very upset at the fact that she had to leave them because everybody had to flee the area, and she didn't want to leave because she left her 2 daughters behind. When I asked her how she feels about the whole situation, about her arriving to safety, she said, "I might be in safety, but my daughters are not." As this was happening, I heard a lady scream. So I stopped this conversation and I ran over to this lady, and she was screaming and she was on the floor. And I don't understand too much Arabic, so I can get little bits and bobs, but one of my colleagues was translating for me. Now, there was a man that was holding this lady, and my natural reaction as a woman is to protect this woman. So I'm moving this man out of the way to give this lady space. I don't know who he is, I've not even looked at him. So I'm speaking to her, I'm holding her and I'm hugging her and I'm giving her that comfort. It turns out that the man that we spoke to earlier on was actually the son that was waiting for his mother, and that was his mother. And then when I realised the situation, I stood back and I thought, oh dear God, I'm moving him out of the way, I'm kind of ruining this reunion. It was such an overwhelming scenario for me and the team, because we've been out there and we've been to hospitals, we've seen hunger, we've seen destruction, we've seen people who are injured, we've seen people without limbs, we've seen all this. But the fact that we were there that day, and that man was stood waiting for his mother for 4.5 months, and she arrived the day that we were there. And for us, that was so overwhelming. I think all of us just end up just crying, because it was so nice to see a happy situation in such a bad situation. So it was just nice to see that before we left, and it was nice to see that reunion, which was really cute. So that was tough. It was tough to see, but it was a happy moment.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, Shareen from Human Relief Foundation, a volunteer here. We're here in Mosul at the moment. We've come to a camp. I'm not sure if everybody knows the situation. in Mosul at the moment. We're in a camp called Camp Plaza. As you can see, we've got trucks and trucks full of food. We've got people waiting here to get the donations. Now, we cannot do this without you guys. We cannot do this without your donations. And I know some people donate all the time and you think it sits in a bank account. I promise you that is not the case. Human Relief Foundation, we get your donations, we come out here straight away, we feed these needy people. It cannot be done without you, subhanAllah. There's so many people here today who couldn't be fed because we need more donations, we need more support, we need more volunteers, we need more people coming out here. Now, I've seen people walk over here and as soon as we give them food, they smile. And just for that smile, it's worth it, subhanAllah. Please keep donating, please keep supporting Human Relief Foundation so we can bring your donations and turn them into food and feed the people who have not eaten for weeks on end. Jazakallah khair, assalamu alaikum.
This Ramadan, I think people should give to Human Relief Foundation due to the fact that our teams are so strong out there already. So in Jordan, we've had offices out there for years. In Iraq, we've got offices in Mosul, in the conflict area, in Baghdad, in Tikrit. We've also got them in Erbil. Our office in Jordan and in Iraq is very, very strong. So this Ramadan, we have made a point of getting your sadaqah and your zakat out into the conflict areas, into Jordan, into Iraq within 24 hours. So as soon as a donor donates to Human Relief Foundation, within 24 hours, the money will reach the beneficiaries. We're making a huge point of doing that. So not only do we have teams out there, like I mentioned, we are sending our teams from the UK to make sure that is done, and the footage will be uploaded on social media as well. So it is time to give to Human Relief Foundation this Ramadan.